Happy Devil's Tuesday. This is the Woo Report. The Woo Report. The Morning Woo Edition. Episode 333. Titled Perfect Together. Jack Hughes and Erik Haula. The bromance that developed in the 2022-23 NHL season. I'm your host, Sam Woo, streaming live on Facebook Live, YouTube Live, Twitter Live, and Twitch on the Let's Go Devils Network. Coming to you live from the Primetime Radio Studios bunker in an undisclosed location in beautiful New Jersey. Jack Hughes and Erik Haula. Who would ever thought that this season would feature Erik Haula on the second line with Jack Hughes early on? There was some criticism about it. Erik Haula coming via trade from the Boston Bruins to New Jersey. Pavel Zacha shipped off. But Erik Haula came in, was somewhat of an unknown to why he came in, other than veteran leadership. Scored 29 goals in the season, the inaugural season of the Vegas Golden Knights, taking the Knights to the Stanley Cup Finals. And Erik Haula has had a profound influence on Jack Hughes. And Tom Fitzgerald last offseason brought in a couple veterans. Palat, obviously, the big prize. The $6 million a year man, which some fans and some people think he may be overpaid. But you got Palat for those leadership reasons. Because Nico Hischier and Jack Hughes were on an island by themselves, trying to fend for themselves, to be the leaders and the pillars of this franchise. But Erik Haula and Jack Hughes have a lot of similarities. Number one, you listen to those exit interviews. It was all about the team. It's all about wanting to be in New Jersey. Erik Haula stating that, I don't want to go to any other team. I want to stay here in New Jersey. Made no mention about contracts other than, I talked to Fitzy this morning, and let's just get it done. I want to be here. I don't want to talk about any other team. Jack Hughes, when he signed that 8-year, $8 million per contract, at the time when he signed, you knew that it was going to be a great contract. But up until that point, Jack Hughes, we had only seen flashes of brilliance. We only seen that he was a part-time player in terms of getting hurt. But he played during that COVID season. Got COVID, if you remember. Also, his rookie season, stopped short because of COVID. So we really didn't see much of Jack Hughes other than no fault to his own, by the way. But when he signed that 8-year, $8 million per contract, coming off of his entry-level contract, you can make the argument that that could be one of the best contracts in hockey, just the amount of production that you're going to get out of Jack Hughes for the next 6 to 7 years. To have both Nico Hischier and Jack Hughes under around $15.5 million a year is a steal, as both of them were first overall picks. But with Hischier getting some help from veteran leaders added last offseason, but also Jack Hughes getting help from Erik Haula, those two are a dynamic duo. unlikely pairing. And, again, you see the photos on social media. It's Haula and Hughes hanging out together at parties and all that. And I think that's good. It builds that team bonding. And these two together, who would ever thought that it would be Hughes and Haula? And I was a big Erik Haula fan in the mid-season, if you remember. We joked around about it on Devils After Dark. And, I had a choice of all these autographed hockey sticks because the Marty Brodeur, I think the reason why is the Marty Brodeur meet and greet got canceled because of COVID. That they offer a consolation prize. All right, we didn't have this meet and greet, but here, pick a bunch of sticks. And whenever Haula's name came up, I was like, I'm going to take that one. And my rep was kind of surprised. Like, you're going to take that one over Severson? I was like, have you ever listened to Devils After Dark? Anyway, to be fair, I thought Haula did everything right the first half of the season, just couldn't finish. But you knew eventually he was going to figure it out. I mean, eventually those pucks are going to get into the net. And that's exactly what happened. He was a playoff performer, especially against the Rangers. Jack Hughes. What can you say about Jack Hughes? He has blossomed into that player, and he had a chip on his shoulder. He kept his mouth shut all season. He let the play do his talking. Remember, he was saying that, again, that people were calling him a bust. But now it turns out that at this point, he is the best player in that 2019 draft class. Capocacco is nowhere near Jack Hughes, as Ranger fans were just clapping and cheering that the Devils had picked Jack Hughes. But the Devils were in the long game. You knew that Jack Hughes coming out as first overall pick in 2019, you knew it was going to take some time, the adjustment. But he had the all-world talent that Ray Shero and Tom Fitzgerald saw. Capocacco was deemed by the press as more NHL ready for those Devils. And remember, at the time, the Devils had Taylor Hall, and Taylor Hall was in contract negotiations. To his credit, Joshua Harris was taking him to basketball game up in Toronto. I think the Raptors and the 76ers were playing, I believe. Courtside, just trying to woo him, no pun intended, woo him, Taylor Hall, to New Jersey. And there was some thought back then that, hey, maybe get Capocacco because Taylor Hall was the franchise. But no, it was Jack Hughes. And Jack Hughes, yes, and Bruce says Hughes was the Matthews pick and Kakko was the Line A pick. Or you can even say Connor McDavid and Jack Eichel. But really, Capocacco has struggled in New York, and I blame really the New York Rangers management. They had everything all aligned till that Tom Wilson incident happened. Then the owner just suddenly just goes crazy, James Dolan, with these press releases basically trolling the NHL. And then what happened afterwards is they ripped it all up to win now, which, well, they did get to the Eastern Conference Finals against the Lightning, but this past season, the New Jersey Devils put an end to their season, 7 games. The young team did. All that experience was for naught. Rue says, yep, Dolan lost his mind. He absolutely did. And that's the difference between Joshua Harris and James Dolan. Now, I've been very critical of Joshua Harris, no doubt. There are some things I don't like. But he mostly keeps his mouth shut. Sometimes he keeps his mouth shut just a little too much. Sometimes I want to see some emotion out of Joshua Harris. But he's nothing like James Dolan, where he'll make irrational decisions, such as banning Charles Oakley from Madison Square Garden, fan favorite of New York Knicks fans, putting up, AI cameras or whatever to spot the attorneys that are suing Madison Square Garden Network and all of James Dolan's interests so they can't attend a game, which forced the city of New York to threaten to pull the liquor license of Madison Square Garden, which is crazy. And on top of everything else, Madison Square Garden's permit to operate in New York City ends this summer with the remote possibility, I'm not saying it's going to happen, but technically a remote possibility that the city of New York could say, find another home. We're building a train station over your piece of land, and we're going to knock down Madison Square Garden, just like how Madison Square Garden knocked down the old Penn Station from years ago. All that beautiful structure and artwork gone in the 60s for absolutely no reason. That's like taking Grand Central Station years ago and knocking it down and building a arena or stadium over it. But anyway, I'm talking a little gibberish, but it is the off season, so I do have some leeway here. But Jack Hughes and Erik Haula, perfect together. You just feel the love. They're teammates. Erik Haula. How much would you pay for Erik Haula? $3-4 million a year? How much is he worth to the New Jersey Devils and Jack Hughes? That endorsement of Jack Hughes is paramount. And Jack Hughes was actually speaking his mind as well. Jack Hughes normally keeps his mouth shut. But those exit interviews, he was pretty candid. This was no Gato and chill talk. He basically said, without naming names, okay, you love New Jersey. You want to be here. Well, sign your name on the dotted line. Like, what are you waiting for? This is the place to be. It is the perfect place to be. You know that old New Jersey slogan? New Jersey and you, perfect together? Well, it's Jack Hughes and Erik Haula. The bromance that has blossomed is totally perfect together. Yeah, it's funny. Dirk says you may see hockey and basketball back in the Meadowlands if the New York Rangers have to find a new home temporarily. Wouldn't that be funny? Oh, boy. Wouldn't that be funny? Right now, Continental Airlines Arena, now, what is it called? Izod Center. But right now it's being used to film, I guess, soap operas, commercials, or events, rehearsals, because it's big empty space in arena. Now, for the state of New Jersey, look, that arena, all the bonds have been paid off. It is a cash cow, believe it or not, for the state of New Jersey, for renting it out to organizations that need that type of space, that premium space to practice, some of their events, concerts, or whatnot. And the building is still good. Sometimes it looks a little bit sloppy, but it's still pretty good. But can you imagine that happen? Would you want to rent the Rock to New York Rangers and New York Knicks? That would be kind of funny. But I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think. I mean, it would be somewhat of a political suicide for these politicians to do that, to knock down Madison Square Garden. But I'm sure that they're going to have to figure out something for James Dolan and his companies. Rouge says, my Leafs need to flip Nylander for Bowen Byram. Colorado desperate for scoring. Playmaking wing. Lando out for the year. Trade makes sense. We need more offensive pace from the D. Riley did everything. Yeah, Landeskog, he may be out for even more time from what I read. And it's unfortunate for the Colorado Avalanche, with his knee, which I believe he hurt during the bubble season, if I'm not mistaken. Dirk says they could build an arena over that soccer stadium. Be more specific. I'm kind of trying to understand that. Paul says NJSP training, I think, too. Yeah, I mean, that arena serves a good purpose right now. It's out of the way. It's at the Meadowlands. They took away our tailgating spot. Now it's a parking garage there. Now you've got a mall that's there. The American Dream Mall that took, 25 years to build? The Xanadu project, remember those days? Crazy has times changed. Anyway, want to thank all those tuning in to the Woo Report, dropping the podcast in about 20 minutes for your morning commute and afternoon commute. Tomorrow, Wednesday, 8:30 p.m. Eastern, pucksandpitchforks.com's editor-in-chief, Nick Villano, will be doing State of the Fan address. Yes, the State of the Fan. How are you doing? We're still talking about goaltending. We're still talking about who the Devils should re-sign, who will walk, the salary cap. The draft's coming up. Devils don't have a first rounder, but guess what? There are other picks that they have, and we've seen what they've done with their second, third, and fourth rounder, and even sometimes sixth rounder. Remember Josh Philman and Jesper Bratt? The draft is very important to Tom Fitzgerald. He's got to keep that pipeline flowing, but he's not going to have that first rounder this season and possibly next season. But if you re-sign Timo Meier to a long-term deal, it would be worth it. Definitely worth it for this New Jersey Devils team. Going to hit the music. It's been a kind of bittersweet. I kind of like it was 6 weeks of on the go because of all these playoff games, the intensity. Now I feel like I have nothing to do. Anyway, keep it here at the Let's Go Devils podcast. We got big things happening for next season. And we see the numbers, we see the downloads. Really appreciate it. If you wouldn't mind subscribing to our YouTube channel on YouTube at Let's Go Devils. Subscribe. And you can rate, review, and subscribe to all of our podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. Please give us a 5-star rating. It'd be nice. Thank you. You guys are the best. This is the Morning Woo on the Woo Report. Till next time, let's go Devils.